I speak 9 languages, said the homeless man. Arab Millionaire laughed, but was shocked. Ha ha, 9 languages. The words sounded absurd under the neon glow of the cafe sign where the encounter happened. Kevin, barefoot, ragged, with his loyal dog Buddy pressed against his leg, spoke calmly as if stating the weather. The millionaire, Sheikh Omar, had paused only because his driver dropped a wallet from the car, and Kevin had picked it up. Instead of begging for change, the homeless man had returned it. The sheikh, amused, tested him. 9 languages, really? Then show me. Kevin only nodded. The street around them bustled with Friday night noise. Cars honked, vendors shouted, people hurried with bags of food. Kevin stood still, looking out of place, his beard long, hair tangled, clothes damp from a drizzle earlier that day. Buddy wagged his tail, sensing tension but not hostility. Sheikh Omar, dressed in tailored white robes, leaned against his black luxury car with a smirk. "All right then," Omar said in English, his accent thick but elegant. "Say something in French." Without hesitation, Kevin spoke in fluent, graceful French, complimenting the sheikh's attire. The sheikh blinked, then laughed harder. Beginner's luck. "Spanish," Omar demanded next, his voice carrying more curiosity now. Kevin's tongue rolled naturally, words flowing like water. "Life on the streets teaches many things, senor, some more valuable than gold." Omar's driver frowned, recognizing the accent as flawless. Kevin switched again Italian, Portuguese, then Mandarin. Each time, his voice carried conviction, rhythm, and an ease that couldn't be faked. Passers-by slowed, listening, astonished at the man who looked like he hadn't eaten in days, yet spoke like a professor. Buddy barked once, tail thumping against Kevin's torn trousers, as if cheering on each phrase. Omar's laughter faltered into silence. The sheikh crossed his arms, eyes narrowing. "Arabic, then. Let's see you fool me in my own tongue." Kevin smiled faintly and began speaking. His words were careful, classical, tinged with dialects Omar hadn't heard in years. He quoted a proverb about hospitality and strangers, the kind grandmothers whispered in desert tents. Omar's lips parted slightly. Recognition softened his face. For a moment, the street faded, and only Kevin's voice remained. "Where did you learn this?" Omar asked, almost stern. Kevin shrugged. "Everywhere. Books left behind, conversations overheard, libraries that didn't ask questions. Survival teaches a man to listen." Omar motioned his driver to step back. The amusement was gone, replaced by intrigue. 9 languages, he murmured. "You weren't lying." Kevin shook his head. "Why would I? Lies waste breath, and breath keeps you alive." Buddy pressed against him again, eyes bright, sensing his master's calm. Omar studied Kevin, this man of tattered clothing but regal speech, and wondered how fortune could discard such a mind onto sidewalks. "You could be working for embassies, universities," Omar said. Kevin chuckled bitterly. "Doors don't open for men who smell of alleys. They only open for men who own keys." The sheikh felt the sting of truth. He gestured at the car. "Come with me. Dinner. My treat. You and your dog." Kevin hesitated. Nights on the street had taught him that invitations carried traps, but Buddy nudged his leg as if to say, "Trust, just this once." Kevin nodded slowly. "All right. But he eats first," he said, pointing to the mutt. Omar smiled faintly, amused at the loyalty. "Done." They climbed into the car, the plush leather too soft under Kevin's frame, Buddy curling at his feet. For the first time in years, Kevin felt walls around him that weren't concrete. They arrived at a quiet restaurant, its lights warm against the cool night. Staff froze when the sheikh entered, then blinked twice at the ragged man beside him. Omar ordered a private room. Dishes arrived, platters of lamb, rice, bread, fragrant with spices. Kevin reached down, filled a bowl for Buddy first, watching the dog devour with joy. Only then did he touch the food himself. Omar noted this silently, respect stirring. Between bites, Omar asked questions. "What's your story, Kevin? Why here? Why like this?" Kevin chewed slowly, eyes distant. Life unraveled. Jobs vanished. Family gone. But languages stayed. Languages, Omar repeated thoughtfully. "Why so many?" Kevin smiled faintly. "Each tongue is a door. When the world slams one, another opens. On the street, you listen to, survive. A tourist needs directions. A vendor curses in dialect. A book left behind tells stories. You piece it all together. 9 doors kept me breathing." Omar leaned forward. "Do you know why I stopped tonight? Not just the wallet. I'm here for negotiations tomorrow. Men from Europe, Asia, even Latin America. They each guard their tongue fiercely. My advisors worry I will be outnumbered." Kevin tilted his head, curiosity blooming. Omar lowered his voice. "A single mistake in translation could cost millions. A wrong word, an insult, a lost contract. Yet here you are, a man with 9 keys in his mouth." Kevin chuckled. "And no roof over my head." Omar's expression softened. "Perhaps that can change." Kevin studied him carefully, gauging sincerity. Buddy lifted his head from the empty bowl, licking his chops, tail swishing gently. The room's silence grew heavy, not oppressive, but filled with possibility. "Tomorrow," Omar said, "you come with me. Sit quietly. When needed, speak. If you succeed, your life may change forever." Kevin hesitated. He had been promised many things on the street coins that never came, jobs that evaporated, kindness that soured into cruelty. "Why me?" he asked finally. Omar smiled faintly. "Because liars beg for coins, you return a wallet untouched. Because fools boast without proof, you spoke 9 truths in 9 tongues. And because loyalty is rare, I saw it when you fed your dog first." Kevin's throat tightened, unused to hearing worth in himself. Buddy barked once, as if sealing the contract. Kevin nodded. "Then I'll come. Not for riches, but because doors are meant to be opened." The night deepened. Kevin and Buddy were given a room at the Sheikh's hotel, soft bed, and clean water like miracles. Kevin lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the hum of city life muffled by curtains. Buddy snored softly at his feet. Kevin thought of alleyways, shelters, hunger, and how quickly fate had shifted. Tomorrow carried risk, but also a chance not just to be seen, but to matter. 9 languages, he whispered into the dark. Maybe they're worth more than survival. Buddy stirred, pressed against his leg, reminding him that, whatever came, they would face it together. Morning broke with golden light across glass towers. Kevin dressed in clothes lent by the Sheikh's staff, simple but clean. He barely recognized himself in the mirror, though his eyes still carried the street's weight. Buddy wagged his tail at the sight of food delivered to the room, scarfing it down with delight. Omar arrived shortly after, robes pristine, smile measured. "Ready?" he asked. Kevin nodded. "As I'll ever be." They left together, heading toward the conference hall where marble floors gleamed and voices in countless accents already echoed. Kevin's heart pounded. 9 doors waited. He was about to knock. The hall was vast, filled with men in suits and women in power, each guarding territory with their language like shields. Omar introduced Kevin only as an observer, earning puzzled looks. Kevin stayed silent, Buddy tucked safely in a side room with food and water. Hours passed with speeches, negotiations tight as drawn bows. Then, at a crucial moment, a delegate from Europe leaned forward, his words sharp in French. The translator faltered, missing the nuance. Kevin cleared his throat softly, spoke the exact phrase with clarity, saving Omar from a disastrous misinterpretation. Heads turned. Silence froze. Then murmurs began. Omar hid a smile, masking triumph as formality. The talks continued, shifting from Spanish to Mandarin to Portuguese, and each time Kevin's quiet voice bridged gaps the translators stumbled across. By the third correction, eyes widened. By the fifth, respect settled like a crown upon him. The man who looked like no one worth notice had become the room's compass. Omar leaned back, satisfied. Kevin sat straight, heart hammering but steady. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was shaping outcomes. Buddy wasn't there to see it. But Kevin knew his dog would understand this was loyalty returned in a different form. By evening, the negotiations ended with signatures, smiles, and handshakes. Contracts worth billions secured. Omar clasped Kevin's shoulder firmly. "You didn't just translate words," he said. "You translated trust." Kevin shook his head. "I just spoke truth." Omar's eyes gleamed. "And that, my friend, is priceless." Reporters swarmed, flashes bursting, questions flying. Omar shielded Kevin from the chaos, ushering him out quietly. "Tonight," Omar said, "we celebrate. But more than that, we decide your future." Kevin glanced at the night sky, still half doubting. Buddy's joyful bark greeted him at the hotel door, grounding him in the only truth that mattered. Kevin crouched, hugging Buddy tightly. "We did it, boy," he whispered. The dog licked his face, tail a metronome of joy. Omar watched, his expression unreadable yet warm. "Tomorrow," he said softly, "your life begins again." Kevin didn't answer right away. He pressed his forehead to Buddy's, feeling the heartbeat of the one who never abandoned him. 9 languages had saved a sheikh's fortune. But loyalty, unshakable, wordless loyalty, was what truly made him rich. For the first time in years, Kevin dared to imagine a tomorrow not on the streets, but standing tall, with his dog and his dignity intact. The following morning felt unreal. Kevin awoke in the hotel room, not to the sounds of traffic and rustling plastic bags, but to silence broken only by Buddy's gentle snoring. Sunlight streamed through heavy curtains, warming his face. For years, every morning meant survival, finding food, searching for safe corners. But today was different. When he looked in the mirror, dressed in clean clothes given by Omar's staff, he still saw the tired eyes of a man who had walked through storms. Yet behind them was something new, possibility. Buddy barked, tail wagging furiously, as if sensing the shift in destiny. Sheikh Omar greeted him downstairs, surrounded by aides. Yet Kevin noticed how the powerful man turned toward him with genuine warmth. "Today," Omar said, "we talk about what you want, not just what I need." Kevin frowned. No one had ever asked him that. Survival didn't leave space for wants. It only left space for needs. "A roof," Kevin said finally. "Work that lets me stand straight, And food for him, he added, nodding at Buddy. Omar chuckled softly. Simple, honest, but I think the world can offer you more. You gave me more than any translator ever has. Later that day, Omar arranged a private meeting in one of the skyscrapers towering over the city. Kevin entered nervously. Buddy close by his side. Executives in tailor suits whispered as he walked past, puzzled at the sight of a barefoot man in borrowed clothes and his dog entering the boardroom. Omar silenced them with a look. This man saved your contracts yesterday, Omar said firmly. Treat him with respect. Kevin swallowed hard, not used to being defended by anyone, let alone a sheikh. Buddy sat proudly at his feet, ears perked, as if he too understood the gravity. The executives began discussing future negotiations, deals with Europe, Asia, Latin America. Omar interrupted. Kevin will oversee translations personally. His instincts catch what machines and men overlook. Shocked murmurs filled the room. Kevin lifted his hands nervously. I'm no businessman, just a man who listens, Omar smiled. And that's exactly why you're needed. Businessmen chase profit. Listeners build trust. Kevin thought about it, then nodded. He had always listened to whispers of danger in alleyways, to strangers' conversations in languages unknown, to Buddy's soft whines of warning. Perhaps listening wasn't just survival. Perhaps it was a gift waiting for recognition. That evening, Omar invited Kevin to dine with his family. For the first time in decades, Kevin sat at a table where laughter outnumbered silence. His beard was still wild, his hair still tangled, but no one mocked him. Children asked questions about Buddy, who soaked in the affection like a sponge. Omar's eldest son asked, How many languages does your dog speak? Kevin chuckled. 1. Loyalty. The family laughed, but Omar's gaze lingered with quiet pride. Kevin realized then that respect wasn't about wealth or titles. It was about being seen as equal. And tonight, he was. Weeks passed, and Kevin traveled with Omar to conferences across the city. Each time, Buddy came along, tail wagging as if he were part of the delegation. Kevin corrected mistranslations, smoothed cultural tensions, and, with each success, earned glances not of pity but admiration. Slowly, he adjusted to hotel rooms, steady meals, and clean clothes. Yet every night, before closing his eyes, he whispered to Buddy, We don't forget, streets made us strong. Buddy would rest his head on Kevin's chest as if agreeing. Comfort was welcome, but humility was armor. Kevin refused to let comfort erase memory. One afternoon, while walking through a crowded market, Kevin overheard a tourist couple arguing with a vendor. Their English was broken, his Arabic confused. Kevin stepped forward, translated calmly, and resolved the dispute with ease. The tourists thanked him warmly, slipping coins into his hand. Kevin shook his head, giving the money to the vendor instead. Respect is worth more than coins, he said. The tourists smiled, understanding. Omar, who had been watching quietly, nodded. That is why I trust you, Omar said. Not because you speak 9 languages, but because you speak the language of integrity. Despite progress, doubt often crept in. Kevin sometimes woke in panic, expecting the ceiling to vanish into sky, expecting hunger to gnaw his belly. He worried that one mistake would send him back to the alleys. Omar noticed his unease and spoke one night over tea. The past is not a chain, Omar said gently. It is a foundation. You build resilience. That resilience is why you stand here now. Kevin nodded slowly. Buddy pressed against his leg, warm and steady. In the dog's eyes, there was no doubt, no past, no future, only the present, which was enough. Opportunities grew. Soon, international delegations requested Kevin directly, astonished at his ability to bridge words and intentions. Articles appeared in local papers. From Streets to Summit, the homeless translator who changed deals. Kevin cringed at the headlines, embarrassed by the attention. But Omar reminded him, "Your story isn't shame, it's power. People need to see what resilience can become." Kevin agreed reluctantly. He didn't want fame. He only wanted stability, food for Buddy, and purpose for himself. But if his story inspired others lost in alleys, perhaps it was worth the discomfort. Buddy barked once, as if approving. Months later, Omar invited Kevin back to the same street where they first met. The neon cafe sign still flickered, the sidewalk still wet with rain. "Do you remember?" Omar asked. Kevin nodded, smiling faintly. "You laughed at me." Omar laughed again. "Yes, but you taught me humility. Riches blind men. But you showed me wealth hidden in rags." Kevin looked around at the city rushing past. He thought of the countless nights he had felt invisible, the countless people who walked by without stopping. And he realized that the moment Omar stopped had been a miracle disguised as chance. As the year turned, Kevin moved into a modest apartment paid for with his new salary. It wasn't grand, but it was his. Buddy claimed the couch immediately, tail wagging as if he owned the place. Kevin stocked cupboards with food, something he once thought impossible. Yet he never locked the old jacket away. He kept it hanging near the door, a reminder of who he had been. When Omar visited, Kevin laughed. "It still smells like rain." Omar smiled. "Then never wash it. Let it remind you of the night doors opened." Kevin agreed. Some scars were worth keeping. One night, while walking Buddy, Kevin encountered a homeless boy curled under a bridge. The sight pierced him an echo of himself years ago. He crouched down, offering half a sandwich and gentle words. The boy looked up, eyes wide. "Why?" he asked. Kevin smiled softly. "Because someone stopped for me once. Now I stop for you." The boy's gratitude lit the dark corner. Kevin walked away with Buddy, heart heavy yet hopeful. He understood now that survival wasn't the end of his story. Giving back was. And Buddy, loyal as always, wagged his tail, sharing the mission. Omar later established a foundation in Kevin's name, focused on education and language learning for disadvantaged youth. Kevin resisted at first, uncomfortable with his name in lights. But Omar insisted, "Your journey is proof that talent lives everywhere, even in alleys. We cannot waste it." Kevin eventually agreed, realizing it wasn't about him, it was about others finding their voices. At the opening ceremony, Kevin spoke simply. "I was invisible. Languages made me seen, but loyalty my dog taught me that kept me alive. I hope this foundation helps others find not just words, but worth." Applause thundered. Buddy barked proudly. Years passed, but Kevin never lost his humility. He continued to travel with Omar, continued to teach, and continued to return to the same streets with food and blankets for those still fighting to survive. People whispered his story, sometimes exaggerated, sometimes trimmed, but always with awe. From rags to respect, from alleys to embassies, he had walked a road no one believed possible. Yet whenever asked about his greatest treasure, Kevin always answered the same. Not 9 languages, not money, not fame. My treasure is Buddy. He stayed when the world left. And that kind of loyalty is priceless. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Omar, Kevin, and Buddy sat outside the cafe again, sipping tea together. Rain fell lightly, as if the night itself wanted to honor their story. Omar lifted his cup. To 9 languages, he toasted. Kevin smiled. And to one truth. Omar tilted his head. Which is? Kevin scratched Buddy's ears. That love and loyalty need no translation, Buddy barked once, sealing the toast. The three of them laughed, their voices mingling with the city's hum. And for the first time in Kevin's life, he didn't just belong, he was home.